だから自分の耳が聞こえるうちに言うことを聞いた方がいい。
こんなことして許されると思うなよ。私はお室の。
お前こそ自分の立場を考
え。頼む、助けて。
The beginning after the end, episode number 10. And my friends, this wasn't a bad episode per se. I liked the episode, but here's the thing that's very real. I know a lot of you guys, you know, who have stuck by this show are sticking with it because of the story is genuinely really, really good. And I think the anime has done a decent job, not the best, not the good job, but it's done a decent job of conveying the good story. Past couple episodes, it's changed some stuff as far as adaptation. I think most of us would like to see more of a solo leveling adaptation. Of course, not from a budget standpoint, but just from like, it's mostly one-to-one with some fat kind of trimmed out. This one, they played with the way things work out. It's last week, Art is supposed to meet the principal as he was out and about with the girl that I forget whatever her name is, Lilia, whatever the girl's name is. He you know, she's plays a minor role, and he was out and about. But the main core of that chapter was he meets the principal about the school he's gonna go to. They played with the way that events turned out, and they also played with the way that Art versus the conjurer person for the royal family, the way that plays out. That fight ends up playing out like on the stage of the auction, and it is more bombastic. It is more like it's a crazy fight. You know what I mean? This episode, and again, if you don't know that, you don't know that, right? I think that's how I go into 95% of all the animes I watch is I don't know what I don't know because I don't watch, or I don't, 95% of the time, I don't watch what I read. This is one of the few exceptions. But this episode, even if you don't know, this is the first episode I really feel, and I'm somebody who's not really sensitive to like, you know, animation or low budgetness. I love, like, I pretty much make a baby career out of covering shows that are low budget, low tier, but we end up finding a lot of gems in those shows that are, for me personally, sometimes better than the shows who do end up getting big budgets. Like, I think when the season of 𝐼𝐻 came out, there was like 5 other shows I thought were way better that were like probably a 10th or a 12th of the budget of 𝐼𝐻. This is the first episode, though, that I was like, man, you could really feel the budget this episode. The first time I felt it was when Art fights 𝐼𝐻. So when he fights, you know, the Elf King, that fight was supposed to be a lot cooler, right? Like, bro's supposed to be like Black Panther. And they ended up making him like a misty version of it. It wasn't good. It wasn't well animated. It wasn't really good, but it was like, yeah, I could kind of forgive it. It was close. This fight, though, was supposed to be like crazy. And, you know, Art was like, he still stopped time, and the core noodles of the ramen were here, but all the other parts, like all the good weren't. And I just felt really disappointed. I was like, man, this show is being done by Studio 𝐒𝐴𝐶. And Studio 𝐒𝐴𝐶 hasn't exactly had like the biggest repertoire of shows. They've done shows like LBX Girls. They've done shows like Battle Game in 5 seconds, which I thought was a pretty good show. Decent. They've done She Professed Herself, Pupil to a Wise Man or something like that. And they've also done one of my gems a couple of seasons ago is I've somehow gotten stronger when I improved my farming skills. I feel like that show specifically, the farming skills show, was animated. If you guys go look back, you can still tell it's budget. You can still tell it's lower tier, but it was better animated than this episode. And I just felt so disappointed because it's like, I know that there has to be really talented people over there at Studio 𝐒𝐴𝐶. And it's like, even if you're like, okay, episode 10 is gonna get most of our budget, like, or whatever episode, like, I felt like they could have really gotten it, and I felt like I got like a 5 out of 10. I think the episode was like a 6.5 out of 10, but I was just really disappointed in that. Now for the content, the episode is, there's not a whole lot that happens here during the episode, like not a whole lot of content. It was all about Art going out and participating in the auction, seeing where his dad works as like a security. It was all about witnessing the auction and people there. It was all about witnessing the royal family. It was all about the royal family obtaining a rank mana beast. And then it was all about his encounter with the conjurer of the royal family and him trying to take away Slyphy and Art almost killing this MFer. You know what I mean? And him defying for the first time the king, being told no. And Art does pull off a pimp move. He said, you know, he tells the king, he's like, you've asked me 3 times if I would part with Slyphy. I understand you have a lot of pride as a king, but I won't answer you a 4th time. He's like, just a question for you, punk. How much would you sell your child for? And the king was flabbergasted. The king said, what? And Art was like, how much would you sell your child for? Because that's what you're asking me. And then obviously the conjurer, you know, he goes and he tries to punk Art, not by the king's command, but of his own. And Art destroys him. He stops time and everything. Ultimately, that spurs Art into realizing that he's a child still. So he's like, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna do the child path, which leads him to meeting the principal at the end of the episode. Who's gonna challenge him and, you know, whatever. And before that, you know, he gets some money. He gets some good monies from the king, because the king was like, this is embarrassing, because the king does have a decent head on top of his head. He probably got where Art was coming from. He's like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then plus the conjurer acted without his know-how, or without his, you know, without the king giving command. So that was a thing too. So a lot of good stuff happens episode, but the execution was a little rough. But again, the main content in the story, right? Like I just explained to you, like, you know, Art stepping up to the king, Art protecting Slyphy, Art against the conjurer, Art realizing that he's just a child, or him realizing his inability because of his limitations of his age, realizing what he should do next. You know, all of that is really good material. So yeah, this is the first episode I really say, like, hey, you know, if the show's vibing, if you're vibing with the show, definitely read it. You know, reading can be a little hard, you know, so maybe do an audiobook, or maybe jump on YouTube and see if there's like a good YouTuber who's done like a recap or something. But I think this would definitely be a good candidate for, you know, you to experience like what the web novel really has to offer, because it's significantly better. Again, I still think this show's good. I just don't think, I just think, like, man, I wish Studio 𝐜𝐴𝐶 like just said, maybe, okay, we're not gonna do any other anime this season, and maybe that's already the case, but they're like, they just put more budget here, because I just think like the high potential, and disappointed anyways. 6.5 out of 10. I think the show's a 7 out of 10. Maybe 6.8 out of 10, but like it's a 7 out of 10 still. I love the content, love the story, love the characters. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next week for episode 11, as we only have 2 episodes left of the season. Peace.